What's going on? Hopefully, you can hear me. We're going to talk about how to get rich and how that could potentially land you in prison if that was your book. Trump's book, How to Get Rich, from 2007. I didn't know Trump wrote a book, How to Get Rich. Hold on, I'm trying to check my notes, trying to check the article. Let's see. 2004 book. Oh, 2004 book. 2004. What's up? If you're just joining, we're going to talk about How to Get Rich, the book. How maybe that will help land Trump in prison. Well, let's be honest. No rich people go to prison. They can afford not to. If you can, let me know if you can hear me. I'm using a new device. I don't know if you could see it. Very excited. So hopefully I'm not talking into the void, and hopefully you can hear me. There's a big green light. I gotta figure out how to fix that. Or maybe I just leave it. It's cool. And I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, to the community we are building. I couldn't do this without you. YouTube is about people building little communities, or in Mr. Beast's case, huge communities. So if you have hit that little subscribe button and the notification bell, thank you so much. Much respect. And if you haven't, please do. This is the class war, the struggle. We talk about all different things, mostly pertaining to how the divide in America isn't left and right. It's up and down. It's about the wealthy versus the working class, the working poors. Man, there's some stuff that I want to touch upon, but I just don't want to fall down a rabbit hole. So thank you if you just subscribed. Now let's talk a little bit how to get rich. This story that's breaking today or yesterday, it's starting to be covered by more, let me just grab this, more places. The original report, there we go. Way too close. The original report, when did this get published? Today. ABC. And if you want to follow along, read anything that I'm talking about, I put the links in the description. We're going to talk about a few different things. Number one, that just remember, in this country, anything you say can and will be used against you. Anything you write, too, apparently. Because there are some famous people that are getting hung up on their books. They've snitched on themselves. Trump is not the first and certainly won't be the last. Let's see, Keefe D. If you don't know about Keefe D, he is in a lockup in Vegas right now, I believe, for the murder of Tupac. And part of the evidence against him is his book, Street Compton, Legend, Folklore, Street Compton Folklore, Street Compton Legend. I don't know what it's called. Again, link in the description if you want to read about that. We'll talk about it in a second. But this ABC article says prosecutors in hush money case plan to use quotes from Trump's books against him at trial, the filing says. And then it quotes, well, I was so fascinated by one of the quotes. I read this on Salon, I read this on ABC, I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, and no one was given the quotes, well, until I read the NBC News article. That's what I wanted to find out, like what are they going to use against it? Can you only imagine what this dude wrote? First of all, he didn't write, I think, all of these books. He did have a ghostwriter, but they just took his words. He wasn't going to sit down and write something. And the thing under the article, again, you can play along at home. You're not going to be able to read that. So the article is in the link, in the description if you want to link it. It says, when someone hurts you, respond, quote unquote, as violently as you can. Trump wrote in 2004. This dude is straight up narcissistic. The biggest irony, and I'll read these quotes in a second. Some from, I had no idea. Everybody's heard of Trump's Art of the Deal. They also quote his book, Think Like a Billionaire, How to Get Rich, and think big and kick ass and then great again. Dude has a little library of BS. I guarantee you get nothing out of these books. And my proof is the quotes that we're going to read. But the biggest, remember this, the Christian nationalists, so many pastors and alleged Jesus followers support this dude. And I mean, they almost treat him as like the second coming. This is from like the alleged religious people. And even if you're not that well versed, most of you probably understand Jesus was famous for saying, love your enemy. Not only just love your neighbor, but love your enemy. And these quotes are the complete opposite of anything religious, anything close to the Bible. Remember when Trump held the Bible upside down? That's kind of like his quotes. It's the Bible back in reverse. It's opposite Bible. I don't know what you'd call that. So, prosecutors in Donald Trump's criminal hush money case in New York plan to use the former president's own words, including quotes from books like Art of the Deal, against him at trial next month. Fascinating. Who would have thought, right? You always hear those stories about how like courts are going to be able to use rappers' lyrics against them, which is just fascinating. Okay, I'll help you in a little bit, buddy. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how this goes on, but yeah, after I can do it. Yeah, because I don't even know where there's a hole for this thing. No. Mm-mm. I think you can either put this one in there or that one. But, oh, because you have this in there. Take that. Oh. So that's what it is. Okay, but it might not fit perfectly. Okay. Okay, buddy. Oh, I don't know where I was. I found a reason to live. Giyu. What's up, Giyu? Can you hear me? Thanks for joining the Class War, the live stream. I'm Rob. Can you hear me? I'm using a new, big shout out to my little bro. He sent me this. He's like, there's a gift coming for you. And this thing is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to do like a box opening or anything. I don't know if you can see that. But it's called DJI. Oh no, I don't know. Mic. It's a DJI mic, 1TX plus 1RX. This thing is freaking unreal. So big shout out, salute to my little brother. Thank you. This is one of the best gifts I've ever got. And I'm trying to use it for the first time. And when I Googled it and I watched all these videos on like how to use it, how to hook it up, everybody said you could live stream with it. So hopefully, Giyu, if I'm pronouncing that right, hopefully you can hear me. What did you find a reason to live for that you put in the comments? To watch, like me, to see how the Tupac case plays out? Or to watch Donald Trump's own words be used against him? Is that not hilarious? What I think I was saying is like you always hear about in court cases how they want to use rappers' lyrics against them, which is, you can hear me, awesome. I could protect Tanjiro and his sister. We might be having different conversations because I don't know who Tanjiro and his sister is, but if that's a good thing, I'm happy for you. Everybody needs a reason to live. And I know the struggle is real right now. So if you're going through it, man, solidarity with you. I send you some good energy. As long as that's good stuff, I could protect Tanjiro and his sister. I don't know what that means, so I'm hesitant to say too much, but I appreciate you joining the live stream. And if you just joined up, I'm talking about Trump's book, How to Get Rich. And it's such a gross. If you've seen a book called How to Get Rich, would you spend money on that? Yeah, I have. Thanks, Kian. Is that Kian? How old are you? Because I'm too old for that question, homie. Um, and maybe you're joining because you're a Trump fan, which in that case, you could just leave now because I got nothing good to say about him. And the Trump fans, I think you're just a sucker. Yeah, yeah, that's, I don't know, maybe you're in eighth grade, Kian. Maybe you're, fair enough. Kian, for those of you who maybe are watching this later, Kian writes, you heard of Ligma, bro? And then obviously, yes, because I'm older than 12. And he goes, lick my balls. Oh, he says he's a MAGA. So there you go. That's my whole point. Yeah, Kian, you're not going to like this. I know you probably got that cult mentality. It's hard for you to break the shine off of Donald Trump's face. Um, you know, he's got you under his spell, man. And I don't know if you're from New York or if you've known of Donald Trump before 2016, but a lot of people who have. Look, I mean, he's not even welcome in his home state. I got family all in New York, and he's been known as a con artist longer than the masses have known about it. Uh, I gotta go and get my katana. Oh, okay, Gyu. Be safe. Be safe. No, I don't like Biden. I hate Biden. Are you kidding? Be safe, Gyu. Very concerning the stuff you're writing, but good luck. Or if you're the bad guy in this scenario, bad luck. I hate to say that, but I don't feel like I have the full picture on the story of Gyu. So, but thanks for stopping by. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so next time I go live, you can fill me in. Though I'm very concerned, you're saying you gotta go get your katana. We're fighting soon, so I gotta go. My God, I hope it's a video game. But no, Kian, I don't like Biden. In fact, I don't think Muzan Kibutsui is the bad one. Oh, then I wish you well. Good luck to you. I hope I don't read about you on the news. I pray that's a video game. If anybody else knows what Muzan is, it's so concerning. No, in fact, I don't like any of the contenders this year. I also don't believe America should have two 700-year-olds running for office. So I'm not one of those people who likes to go the lesser of two evils. I think that's stupid. I think if you're saying somebody, just pick evil, but the lesser evil one. And I think Trump, no, I don't think. Trump is a con artist. It's just been proven. This isn't like an opinion. I mean, even what we're talking about right now, the hush money and how his books, his own words, his own ghost written words, because he had ghostwriters to write his books. But what he told ghostwriters is now going to be used against him in a court of law. So remember, folks, I learned this a long time ago when I was a young man. Whatever you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But I just think it's a fascinating trend right now that people are getting hung up because they've snitched on themselves with their books. They wanted to cash in, get a book. Like, look at this book that we're talking about, Trump's How to Get Rich. And I'm going to read the quotes in a second. Trump's How to Get Rich book is one of the highlighted books that's going to be used against him. It's submitted as evidence. That's fucking nuts. I mean, you got to be kicking yourself. And the craziest thing, okay? I don't know how old some of you are that are watching this. Hopefully you're old enough to remember OJ, who he is, what he did or didn't do. OJ wrote a book, and he's never been prosecuted for it. And I hate to say this, but out of this collective of Trump, OJ, and Keefe D, OJ might be the smartest. OJ wrote a book called If I did it. The hypothetical, the alleged, the if if I was to do something like this, which is scummy as that is, right? To cash in on that and make who knows how much money because I see it on sale for like $9.97 at Walmart. I'm guessing it didn't do that great, or maybe it did. Um, but I want to show you the cover of this book and tell me if you can read the whole title. Okay, I hope this isn't backwards. This is the cover of OJ's book called If I Did It. I'm going to hold it close. Can you read the if? Can you? Can anybody? Because when I was looking this up, I was like, oh, that can't be the book. I'd never seen the book. I've only heard about it. When I worked in radio, we talked about it. Over 300,000 copies sold. Is that good for a book? I don't know if that's good for a book. I feel like that's a small audience. But if you couldn't see, the family of OJ's wife won all the money for the book. Oh, really? That's awesome. And they changed the cover. Get out of here. I did not know this. Thank you. But if you haven't seen the cover that I guess Jack says has been changed, the if is right there. You're not even going to be able to see it. It's in red and it's inside the eye. The most scummy thing you could do. Literally, it says if right where my finger is. Look it up. It's a cool story. Yeah, actually, I will. I had no idea about that because I wasn't going to talk too much about it. I just thought it was fascinating that OJ, out of all these knuckleheads, is the only one that is not getting his words or is not having his words used against him in a court of law. And again, I think it's strictly because he put if in very small letters. He put if tiny. You can't even see it. You really can't. It's a dark red at the top of the eye. I mean, this is so fucked. Right there. That's where it says if. So if you're looking at this, right, it just says I did it. Bloody Schuster. I mean, OJ is a scumbag. Absolute scumbag. And they can't use this against him. The if. Yeah. I wish, oh, that would have been great if you could put an asterisk. If they're selling this in the store, I'm going to graffiti them all. If I was to graffiti them all, if I was going to graffiti them all, I'd do a little asterisk on all the ifs. I wonder if do you know, Jack, if they when they changed the cover, if they forced the if to be bigger, or did he still get to hide it? Because that's such a scumbag move. I mean, that's flaunting it in everybody's face. But as of yet, no charges, no more charges against OJ, and they're not able to use his. I think they're legally not able to use it because he's saying if. It's a whole hypothetical thing, as opposed to Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, How to Get Rich, Think Like a Billionaire, Think Big and Kick Ass. There's a lot of think mantras in here. Just reminds me of like that video in the book The Secret. But his How to Get Rich. So let's read some of these quotes. Trump last April pleaded not guilty to a 34-count indictment charging him with falsifying business records in connection with a hush money payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels days before the 2016 election. Now the prosecutors intend to highlight his approach to business, including his frugality and hands-on approach. And they're going to quote his books. Fascinating. So Trump wrote in 2007's Think Big and Kick Ass. That title. I've been able to date, in parentheses, screw them all because I have something that many men do not have. I don't know what it is, but women have always liked it. That's one of the quotes. Defense attorneys are arguing that some of the statements could potentially offend jurors. Is that what we're worried about? Jurors who like have to be juries and be impartial to trials with murder and stuff like that. We're worried about words in a book offending them. You know, these defense attorneys are reaching for anything. And then they say another quote is Trump saying, I always think of myself as the best looking guy, and it's no secret that I love beautiful women. That's what the defense attorney is saying could potentially offend the jurors. Just so you know, jurors have to see all kinds of, they have to they have to judge, that's the word, not juror, they have to judge all different kinds of cases. So if this defense attorney is saying, like, Trump saying he thinks he's the best looking guy and loves beautiful women is offensive, you could tell they don't have much. All right, so let's read another quote that they're submitting as evidence against Trump. Trump's own words against him, being used against himself. It's like exactly the quote that cops say. Anything you used, anything you say can and will be used against you. Quote, all the women on the Apprentice flirted with me, consciously or unconsciously. That's a concerning quote. Does he mean like they were unconscious? Or did he mean subconscious? Or did he mean Cosby conscious? Hold on, that's not even the whole quote. All the women on The Apprentice flirted with me, consciously or unconsciously. That's to be expected. A sexual dynamic is always present between people unless you're asexual, he wrote in 2004's How to Get Rich. It's included on the prosecutor's list of Trump's past statements. So here's another one from the How to Get Rich. Quote, when somebody hurts you, just go after them as viciously and as violently as you can. Prosecutors quoted from Trump's 2004 book, for many years I've said that if someone screws you, screw them back. They allege that Trump's past attacks on jurors caused them to fear for their own safety and the safety of their families. Prosecutors specifically requested that the only counsel of record for each party be privy to the juror's residential address. Man, that's kind of crazy, because if you got to be a juror on that, and Trump's book on how to get rich is when somebody hurts you, go after them as viciously and as violently as you can. And his other quote from that book is, for many years, I've said that if someone screws you, screw them back. I mean, if you're a juror, I'd be scared. This dude has endless money. He incited people to, attack the Capitol. I mean, and there are some loose ends that he has, he can instigate. Some people that are not all there. And this is his motto. I mean, this is specifically from his book, How to Get Rich. He's saying, go after people, attack them. Jack, here's the, if very blatant, and the family of Nicole changed it to where it was almost like you couldn't see it. Basically an FU to him and saying that he did it. Yeah, been talking about the OJ book. I remember when he dropped that book, I was on the air, and we discussed it. We didn't go too much into it, but it was just like a blatant FU to that family. And that's the other thing. It's like, why would you throw salt in that wound? Like, he's just scum of the earth. I guess kind of that's what this whole live stream, the whole class war live stream today is just kind of touching upon the scum of the earth. And they usually happen to be doing it for money or very wealthy, which, I mean, I guess if you're not struggling to pay rent or buy groceries and you got nothing else to do, you can just F with people. But it's always funny to me that the pastors, the religious people here in America swear, live and die by Trump, when you heard his book, How to Get Rich, is basically the antithesis of the Bible. It is the opposite of the Bible. This dude's advice is, if somebody hurts you, go after them as viciously and as violently as you can. And that if someone screws you, screw them back. Never forget that Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus said, for you have been told to love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And I agree with that. If somebody screws you, screw them as hard and as vicious as you can. These religious people are backing a dude who literally says the opposite. Jesus never said screw people viciously and as violently as you can. He That's why he was radical, because Jesus at the time was talking about, like I was saying. He said, you had been told to love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I'm here to tell you to love your enemy. Because if you just love your neighbor and hate your enemy, isn't that what the tax collectors do? Isn't that what the murderers do? Isn't that what the least of society at least do? They love the people who love them and hate the people who don't. He said, if you're to follow me, if you're to believe in me, you're going to love your enemy. He says, if they ask you to go a mile, you walk 2 with them. If they ask you for something to drink, you give them something to drink and your coat. And he says a bunch of stuff. And this Trump, man. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of poetic justice. Is that poetic justice that they're using his book saying, if somebody screws you, go after them as viciously, as violently as you can? And now the people who he did wrong, the communities, the citizens, the people he scammed and took to the bank, mentally took to the bank, took them for all split up families or whatever goes on with the MAGAs. I would just tell him honestly, like, just like I did that Kean kid. Like, yo, if you're MAGA, okay, you ain't gonna like what I got to say, and I ain't changing my mind. Dude has been proven to be a scumbag. He's been this since the beginning. He cares nothing about the working class. In fact, if your taxes, if you've been getting less in your taxes and you've been taxed more, it's because in 2017, when Trump changed the tax code and gave all his rich friends a break, he made taxes, I think it was for anyone making under 75 grand a year, much higher. So you could thank Trump for those taxes. He just don't care about nothing but his own brand and his own money. That's why, like, what? Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia when he was working with his stepdaddy in the White House. Ivanka got, what, a bunch of Chinese patents and something else. But all they care about is themselves. Their money, even though they have enough of it, and just screwing over whoever they can. I mean, look at, have you ever seen billionaires, alleged self-proclaimed billionaires, starting GoFundMe to pay their legal funds? Like, these, if you're that rich, you could clearly pay your own legal funds. And Trump has a few GoFundMes out there. Whether they're started by other millionaires or not, it don't matter. They're scam artists. And if you fall for it, man, I feel bad for you, because I'm trying to warn you. And if you give money to them, you're gonna reap what you sow. So I think there's maybe a little bit of irony in the fact that Trump's saying, for many years I've said that if someone screws you, screw them back. And Trump screwed quite a few people, literally, too. Stormy Daniels, right? And now it's coming back to him. So he's going to eat his own words. He's going to eat crow, and he's going to do it in a courtroom, because the prosecutors are submitting a bunch of quotes. That's what we're talking about. ABC News, you can read the article right down there. I link it in the description. ABC News is reporting that the prosecutor submitted quotes from Trump's books, How to Get Rich, Think Like a Billionaire, Think Big and Kick Ass. Those book titles are moronic. And then The Art of the Deal. That was a good book title. Catchy. People believed it. I think a while ago, the guy who actually wrote the book came out and did an interview, which is fascinating. But all in all, it's weird, the day and age we're living in. The other story I linked in the description is an article from Vulture talking about, it says, everything Keffe D has publicly said about Tupac's murder. This is the other article I linked if you want to catch up or find out more about that story, because it's another fascinating case where Keffe D wrote a book, Compton Street Legend. That's what it's called. I was calling it Folklore of Compton Legends. It's called Compton Street Legend. And Keffe D basically outlines that night, September 7th, 1996, when they pulled up next to the BMW and fired some shots. And Keffe D talked about how he was the shot caller. He was the one that kind of authorized it, and he even claimed that Sean Diddy Combs ordered it. But you can watch or I mean, you can read this Vulture article and you can actually watch the Death Row Chronicles on BET where KVD talks about it. KVD's done a bunch of interviews on YouTube discussing it, claiming to be in the car, which I always thought, like, that's weird, man. Like, if anything, pull the OJ thing, and say, like, well, if I was in the car, I could imagine this going down. If I was a shot caller, because then they can't use nothing against you if you're just saying if. You're saying, well, hypothetically, me having the background I do, I could see how these things would play out, and maybe this is how it played out. But these people are narcissists. That's why they succeed in capitalism a lot of the time, because when they have no concern about the community, others, they don't care about nothing else. Trump, KVD, one and the same. They care about nothing besides themselves, their image, their money. And when you're like that, you do ish like this, and you write books where you want all the glory. You hopefully want some money out of writing this book. And again, OJ's the smartest one out of this group. He at least put if in front of it. And the whole story with Keefe D and why he got arrested, why he's in jail in Vegas and he's awaiting trial for the murder of Tupac is fascinating. So read this Vulture article. I linked it in the description. I'll try to link all the articles we discuss in the description. If you're just joining, welcome to the Class War. I am Rob. We talk about the struggle, how the wealthy are very well organized and they are working to strip us of our rights every moment, exploit us, strip us of our rights. I don't know if you've seen, so if you could hit subscribe and make sure you hit, not a whole lot of thoughts. CJ Dewey, not a whole lot of thoughts for narcissists. I don't know what that means. If you hit the notification bell, I go live 5 days a week, weekdays. You hit the notification bell, you'll get notified when I go live. And I try to entertain, inform, and educate. That's a huge part of this because people, woke is used as this toxic word, but listen to George Carlin's stand-up, okay? Him philosophizing on things. If you're not woke, then what are you? Asleep? And that's what these people in power and the wealthy and the elite want. They want to exploit you. And they can't do that if you're awake to what's going on, if you're aware, if you're conscious. Yeah, right? West does stuff. Why don't presidents fight the war? Why don't... There was just a senator, somebody today that I seen the video clip passed around, and it was a black dude saying, inner city kids or black kids or something can absolutely access a college education through the military. Someone tweeted, you're giving the game away. And that's the horrific thing. I mean, that's why there's those benefits to joining the military. Because, heck, I almost joined. I still have my what is it called? Like a non-acceptance letter. I don't know what you would get. Not an acceptance letter, but when I tried to drop out of school and join the Marines, they said you're too young. I was 16. I still have that non-acceptance letter. But that's a way for kids to get out of a situation that they're in, and it's horrific. So that's why I do this Class War live stream 5 day every weekday. And if somebody in the comments is already subscribed, let me personally thank you right now because I can't do this without you. And the more we inform each other and have solidarity with each other, like I was saying, the wealthy are very well organized. Look at what Amazon and Tesla are trying to do. They're trying to get rid of the NLRB, which protects workers of their rights. They're really, did you see the news the other day? The Kellogg CEO said, you want to save money? Just eat cereal for dinner. Stuff is getting messed up. And the only way we're going to be able to survive this is with our communities, with the power in the people. And I'm going to just try to bring you information on that as much as I can. Today was a little different. I do want to talk about it, and I'm going to link this. I didn't link this, and I forgot about it. If you own a printer, good for you, okay? Like a computer printer. Because what is about to happen with computer printers is getting terrifying. What capitalists are trying to do. But let me wrap up this Keefe D thing. So essentially, you can read this Vulture article that I put down there. Wicked fascinating. It is just so weird that for clout, that for recognition, these people will write books that could potentially incriminate them, all for the recognition and money. That's capitalism right there. That's it. All right, so HP, right? Is that Hewlett Packard Printers? Whatever it is. If you didn't see this, I will try to. West does stuff. Yeah, it's crazy because history repeats itself. We'll probably have another Great Depression. I talked about this on yesterday's, 2 days ago. I promote this kid a lot. West does stuff. If you have a TikTok, go follow the account Cancel This Clothing Company. It's one dude. He breaks down the economy, how the banks truly own everything, how the banks are the major shareholders in a lot of the different corporations, how the banks basically have a revolving door with the Federal Reserve, with a lot of the people that are running the show in the White House. And he is really, really informative, and he does it in a quick, clever way. So if you're on TikTok, follow the dude, uh, cancel this clothing line, or cancel this clothing company. If you start to type it in, it should come up. But he talks about how in the news right now, mentions of a soft landing, which I'm not too sure what a soft landing means. I think like after kind of like a little bit of a crash, or like the economy needs a soft landing again. I haven't watched this dude in a few days, but he usually breaks down all that terminology. But he says, like, when the news makes mentions of a soft landing, there's usually a huge crash right after. And he showed the chart of the past 20 years, 30 years, something. And he's like, in yellow, it's all the news mentions, media mentions of a soft landing, and here's the crash right after. And he showed, like, currently, I think the past year or something, of all the mentions, and it was like staggering. It was like the highest it had ever been in the past 20 years. And he said, so what do you think comes after? Um, so yeah, so we're headed to something not good. And with all the thing, I just keep saying people need to wake up, right? Kellogg's. So we're going to talk about the printer issues. If you own a printer, do not throw it away. Okay. The news that the printing companies want to do is terrifying. Everything's expectations. And Wall Street's never going to be satiated, right? They just need more profits every quarter. So there's really no good end to this for the people. There is for the wealthy, because they'll keep figuring out ways to exploit us, to whether, there's multitudes. That's why they don't want you organizing, because that gives us the power, that gives us some leverage against these billion-dollar, soon-to-be trillion-dollar companies. But I forgot what I was talking about. Jesus, sorry. I keep getting phone calls on this, and it's distracting. So, anyways, let's go into the printer thing, because I totally got sidetracked with that phone call and message that I'm not gonna check out right now. So if you own a printer, you need to hold on to it. Okay. And I'm sorry if you were following along with what I just said. I got lost. If you want to leave it in the comments, I'll catch back up with it. But HP announces that they're going to try to. Oh, that's what I was saying. That you got to just pay attention to like what's going on. Cancel This Clothing kind of keeps you up to date with the weird Wall Street stuff, and the language of the economics behind. Basically, it's just stealing from working class people. How they get to play with our money. If you put your money in a bank, the banks get to use that to ultimately crash the economy every few years. And then our money, our tax dollars, get to bail them out. But it's just fascinating that we're seeing, what was it, a few years ago? They said, we'll stop eating avocado toast, right? That was like the big thing you saw the Republicans talking about. If you just quit spending so much money on that avocado toast, maybe you'd be able to buy a house. Yeah, because what? $2 a day? What does that break down to? $14 a week. What is that times 4, 40, 50 something a month, 50 something a month, 12. Jesus, I don't know. So 600. I'm bad at math, but you get what I'm saying. Like the equating of, if you just stop doing this a day, you'd be able to like live in this society is bullshit. I always just work it out. Just work out the numbers. When they're like, "Oh, you buy a lottery ticket, that's a tax on the poor. It's a tax on stupid people." I go, "What else am I going to do with that $2 a week? What am I going to save that? $2 a week, so $8 a month, so almost $100 a year. Oh, I forgot I could buy a car with that. Like, get the fuck out of here." You understand? Shit's hopeless right now. Um, and when we have them going from just a few years ago, like I'm old enough to remember when they told us, stop spending money on avocado toast and you'll be able to function in the society and buy a home and own a car and you won't be complaining about how bad things are, to now the Kellogg CEO said, if folks need to save money, just eat cereal for dinner. So we went from stop buying avocado toast to you can just eat cereal for dinner. That's the let them eat cake. I mean, we need, as working class people, we need to have solidarity with each other. We need to come together, organize together, and rise the fuck up, because there's more of us than there are of them. And the only way we do that is educating each other, being informed of what's going on, being aware of what they're truly saying to us. When he's saying just eat cereal, not only is he saying eat our cereal, but he's also saying, like, go fuck yourself. Because do you think they're eating cereal for dinner? No. They're having the best meals in the world, and they're probably flying across the world. They're probably flying when if they're in California, they're flying to New York to get that pizza. If they want Greek food, they fly to Greece. Meanwhile, we're recycling fucking milk cartons to hopefully help the earth, and these dudes are flying like Taylor Swift. Do you see that meme, Taylor Swift, where it said, "Here's Taylor Swift going to get a glass of water in the middle of the night," and it was a plane, private jet crashed into the kitchen. That was brilliant. Meanwhile, we're recycling our 1 liter bottles that we're having for dinner. Here's my dinner. Delicious. Thanks, Kellogg's. Go fuck yourself. Sorry, I'm trying not to curse that much. But all these people are really telling us, like, it's just going to keep getting harder. And as long as you accept what we're saying, I did a whole live stream on the Wendy's surge pricing, dynamic menu pricing. They were going to invest $20 million into new menus to price gouge. That's what I was calling it. I'm not going to call it surge pricing like at Uber or a Lyft. When there's high traffic times, they charge you more and they call it surge pricing. It's just price gouging. That's it. And Wendy's CEO mentioned that in an earnings call. Myself and I think a lot of other people just called it clearly what it was. We're not going to use their corporate language. Languages are important, very important. Remember that. Carlin talks about that. The language they use, they try to soften the blow of exploiting you. So they call it dynamic pricing or surge pricing when it's just price gouging. That's all it is. And now he seems to be walking that back and saying, like, oh, we might not be doing that. But that will lead me into the HP printers. Okay. I don't know if it was a story today or people are just kind of finding out about this, but I actually went to the HP website and it turns out they're trying this. They're trying to now rent you a printer, obviously not rent you the paper, but rent you the printer, rent you the ink, and give you the paper. And it starts as low as $6.99 a month. And then you can go all the way up to, I don't know, $100 corporate deals. But you have to really read the fine print to understand what a screw over this is. Because if you're thinking $6.99 a month, you could get a pretty decent printer for $50 to $60, right? So after 10 months, they've already got you, you've already paid off that printer. Not to mention the ink, $6.99 a month. You could probably get ink for what, like $24? Would last you definitely more than a month, depending on how much you're using it. But the interesting thing about HP just trying to, and this is the weirdest part about it too, a lot of companies have done this. I'll talk about who else and how I'm old enough to remember this shit. But HP seems to be the newest one to try to join the capitalist group to satiate Wall Street's expectations of their company. So they want to rent people printers now, which will be fascinating to see if they stop allowing people to buy them. That's what I was saying. If you own a printer, hold on to it, fix it, make sure it's nice, and treat that puppy nicely. because the way the world's going, well, no, the way capitalism is going is getting gnarly. And for that $6.99 a month package, you can only print 20 sheets. Imagine that. Imagine you got a paper due, or you got to print something and it messed up, and you go over your 20 sheets a month. They said if you don't have rollover sheets, and you can read this on their website, HP's website, you can click, and it's a little bit buried, but you can find out all about this. If you're just joining, welcome to the Class War. I'm Rob. Please hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if somebody's in here that has subscribed, I thank you so much. This community that we're building is awesome. This is the way forward. We need to organize. We need to come together. We need to inform each other. So you can always leave something in the comments if you heard about some crazy stuff. Right now, we're talking about HP and their printers that they're going to rent out to people from now on. So I say, if you got a printer, hold on to it. Make sure you get it repaired, keep it up to date, because if they decide to all of a sudden not sell printers anymore and all you can do is rent them, and if you think I'm crazy for saying that, I'll tell you how I know that that can happen in a minute. And they're selling these packages. The bottom line would be $6.99 to have a printer in your home with the ink and the paper. But in your plan, remember when phones used to do the rollover minutes? If you didn't use all your minutes that month, they would roll over to the next month. I don't know if they still do that, but God, that was like a big thing. Rollover minutes. Celebrities doing commercials. It was so irritating. That's what HP's doing. They said if you have paper from last month, you can use your rollover pages. They were calling them rollover pages in your rental printer plan. This is fucked. Isn't this America? Wasn't it like the American dream to like buy a house, have a car, get an education, not have healthcare, put you into debt? Now we're talking about how you might only be able to rent a printer now. If you can hear this and go, yeah, okay, that's cool. Like I was teaching my kids earlier today. I said, if people can hear this stuff and go, it is what it is. That's the way it is. Stay away from those people. Okay? Because those are the people that said that during slavery, that said that during the civil rights movement, that said that to black people when they couldn't vote, that said that to women when they couldn't vote. Those people are dangerous and they're poisonous and they are complicit in the oppression that is happening. So if you're one of those people, again, this Class War live stream might not be for you. And I don't, mince my words, and I don't, make it blurry on what side I stand on. I'm for the people, for the working class. I'm against HP renting out printers with rollover page plans where if you go beyond your 20-page printer printouts a month, what they said is for $1 more, they're going to tack on $1 to your plan and you'll get 10 to 15 more pages to print. Is this not fucking bananas? This is absolutely bananas. And the reason I was saying that they potentially might just stop selling printers and just only allow people to rent them is because I worked in radio for like 20 years. Before that, I was in it for like, 5, 10, doing internships and all this stuff where they just exploited me. And back in the day, you could buy, it used to be called Cool Edit Pro. And then it got bought out by Adobe and it got called Adobe Audition. And that was like the sound editing. It was essentially like Pro Tools for Apple computers. Adobe Audition was for the Microsoft computers. Now, so again, before it was Adobe Audition, it used to be called Cool Edit Pro. I was trained on that, never Pro Tools, because Pro Tools was like really expensive. I don't even think you can buy Pro Tools anymore. I think Pro Tools is a subscription-based service now. And I know for a fact Adobe Audition, the audio editing service, they're going to tell you what you can print and censor. CJ Dewey just dropped a comment that says, are they going to tell you what you can print ? Censorship. I didn't even think about it. I honestly didn't consider that because I was so pissed about the rollover pages in the plan that you can read on HP's own website. That is terrifying, my friend, because what's to stop them? There is a data, I forget what I was watching, but there was something that talked about printers and how like they can, through Wi-Fi or whatever, they can access, like hackers can access the last thing you printed. So if you're printing personal information on a public printer, it's very dangerous. because they can, they can somehow access the data of what was sent to the printer. Uh, Maybe it was like some YouTube hacker or something, which hackers, ultimate respect in the world, man. Just please, like, cancel poor people's debt, Like, let's make anonymous, like, cancel everybody's mortgage. I don't even own a house, but I still think that'd be cool. So they have access to what, and if you don't think, these large computer companies that want to rent you a printer aren't going to be paying attention to what you're printing, you're nuts. And CJ, that is a good question. You bet you better believe I'm going to be Googling that once I get off this live stream, because I want to know. I want to know if there's stories of it. I want to know if that's happened before. I want to know if there's people talking about it. And you know what the worst part is that if that does start happening, the first people that discuss it are going to be called crazy. They're going to be dismissed as conspiracy theorists or whatever, but there are ways they can access it. Look at Snowden. He talks about how, man, if they want access to some of your virtual data, they'll get it. It's funny. Oh, I don't think my brother's in this live stream. He sent me a video. He's asked his Amazon Alexa what FBI agent she reports to, and it gave him a name. He sent me a video of him doing it. Again, whether you believe it or not, it's pretty crazy that she said, "Oh man, I don't want to share the video." But if he shares it, I'll link it in the description, because it's very eerie. For me, it wasn't shocking. I just thought it was funny. Again, like, my mother-in-law sent the kids in Alexa to, like, read them stories and stuff, and I just unplugged them all and hit them. My wife and her family think I'm nuts, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not having a Jeff Bezos listening machine in my house. Not only that, but now they're talking about how they're using the acoustics to map out your house to better figure out what to sell you. So there's some ways, I forget if it was the acoustics or there was something in it that can measure the sound waves and give them dimensions inside of your home. So just the technology they have is very creepy. Back to the HP printer thing, and why I believe that if this starts to work and enough people rent them, which don't, that's how we show our power. We show our power by, coming together, organizing, and saying, we're not going to accept that. We're just going to buy our printers, buy our ink, and buy our paper. Think about how much money you would save as opposed to, like, renting. Like, I just went through this with my cable company. They're charging me more for the router and the something. And I said, why? And he said, oh, well, because the prices have gone up. And I said, I still have the same equipment from like 6 years. And what are you talking about? Prices went up for what? And I talked to this dude for 40 minutes until he gave me a discount, because I was like, are you nuts? I didn't get any new technology. Price can't go up. I didn't get nothing new, nothing better. Take the price back down. And that's what they'll do. So with this printer thing, my fear is that they're just going to go into the rental printer market. And once they do that and other companies see that it's profitable, or not even profitable, but just it satiates Wall Street, they'll all do it. And then we're all screwed, and we're going to have black market printers, and we're going to have to go on the dark web to get our printers and ink and paper. And maybe they start, like CJ said, they start censoring us. Who knows what they would censor? What do you think they would censor, CJ? Or if you're watching this later, let me know in the comments what you think would get censored. Because that's insane. But like I was saying, so Cool Edit Pro. Back when I was in college, they trained us in the audio engineering on Cool Edit Pro. Adobe bought it out. It became Adobe Audition. You can look this stuff up. It's great audio editing software. And I think I was talking with my brother or somebody the other day, and they said, oh, I'm going to get the Adobe Suite, Cloud Suite or something. And that's what you have to get now, which sucks, because I was telling this person, I forget if it was my brother or somebody else, I said, I remember back when you could just go and purchase Adobe Audition. You could just buy Cool Edit Pro. You could just buy Pro Tools. You could just own the software on your computer. And then what they would do is they would have like version 10.1, 10.2. And if you wanted that update, you would have to pay, and they would, upgrade you to the latest version with the best access to the new tools or whatever it was for Adobe Audition or Pro Tools. Somewhere along the line in my radio career, I wasn't paying attention because I didn't own any of these. I just had access to studios. And I come to find out that now the only way to get access to this software is to rent it, to pay a monthly subscription. So they've basically done away with you being able to own your own studio, your own software, and who knows if it gets sticky with the rights. I'm sure you don't sign your rights away, but still, this is all like a weird road, especially in the land of the free. The fuck is free anymore? What the fuck do you own in America? They're trying to turn everything into a renter's market. Everything is becoming in timeshare. It's just like, you know, used to have Tower Records, Strawberries, Coconuts. What are the other stores where you could go buy DVDs? Best Buy, Circuit City. Now there's only Best Buy. I guess Target. Target is like, what, 8 DVDs? Screw that. And you used to be able to own your DVD collection. And then streaming came along. So you could still own that virtual collection. But Netflix, basically, Amazon, all these streaming sites, Disney, they're all trying to remove you from being able to have access. I still like DVDs because let's face it, if they shut off my internet, they shut off the cable, as long as my electricity's on, I can still watch a bunch of movies. So I still got a DVD collection. I don't want to totally rely on the grid, on the DVD grid. I don't want to totally rely on the virtual streaming grid. I'm old school. I got my DVD bunker ready to go. But seriously, there's been some situations where that could shut off, and it's always awesome to have a sick DVD collection. Plus, you can buy them really on the cheap right now. So that's my advice for this Class War live stream. Own your DVDs. That way, if the internet goes out, you're good. Throw on some Good Will Hunting, throw on Anchorman, what else? Robin Hood, either Prince of Thieves or the newer one. There's some DVDs that I still got to get. Outside Providence, that's a great one. Empire Records, I don't have. Singles, I think I have. Hell on Wheels, good series. Anyways, own your own DVDs. But like Netflix came in, right? Turned everything into a basically subscribe per month to get your streaming access. And once they saw how big Netflix could get, what happened? HBO, Paramount, Amazon, Disney, oh my God, I can't, Peacock. I might even be missing some, but everyone went into like, hey, why need to own anything? We'll just rent it to you every month. My biggest issue with that isn't even about like, you know, the monthly rental streaming service. It's that they have access to what you can and can't watch. It's not like Blockbuster, where Blockbuster just had a bunch of movies. You could find some cult classics, some weird stuff. You could find new stuff all the time. And that was even better about the mom and pop rental stores because they would have like really obscure stuff. And that's how you would discover new things. Even like going to Strawberries when I was a kid, Clerks, or there's this movie called God Money. If you've ever heard of God Money, that's insane because I own that on DVD. And that is a weird cult classic, maybe not even a cult classic, but an obscure film. But I used to love going to like these random these old CD shops where you could just find weird movies and buy them and watch them. And that has, notice that the dippy Wendy's executive that hijacked the price gouging train got some clapback about it. Yeah, did you see that? I mentioned that early in the live stream. He wanted to do the price gouging, and then all of a sudden, that's why, listen to George Carlin. Go listen to all his discography, every CD he put out. He speaks about how it's important to pay attention to the language. And if you want to combat this shit, like when Kirk Tanner, that's the Wendy's CEO, when Kirk Tanner announced on the earnings call that he was going to invest $20 million, not to the workers, but to the menus so that they could price gouge, but he called it dynamic pricing or surge pricing. As soon as people like myself and other people online and hopefully media outlets, but probably not, as soon as they started calling it price gouging, he started walking that back real quick. Got the attention he did not like. But I'm sure the investors and the shareholders all clapped when they heard, oh, he's going to invest this much money to price gouge the public. They were probably stoked. Oh man, that sidetracked me. So what were we talking about? Oh, so like mom and pop movie shops, right? So my biggest problem, and you gotta have sympathy and empathy from my wife because she's got to hear about this stuff all the time. My biggest issue is that there are some movies that I remember, love from the 90s that you just can't find, even from the 80s, that like they're not on streaming and they're almost impossible to find to purchase like at a store. Like Best Buy doesn't have a big selection. God knows Walmart and Target don't have a DVD collection. Kirk Tanner, was he on the show Full House? Yo, CJ, that's the exact same thing I said the other day. Why does Kirk Tanner sound like a Full House name? He sounds like the CEO uncle, the uncle that has the position of CEO, who made like a special episode where like he was caught doing cocaine, and they had to have like a sobering episode with him where Jesse gave him the talk and Uncle Joey like made a bad joke out of it with that Muppet he used to use. What was that squirrel Muppet? That's so funny. Kirk Tanner sounds like somebody on Full House. But no, it's the Wendy's CEO. And if you're wondering how he looks exactly like the name sounds. Absolute douche. Kadoosh. So that's my issue with streaming. That once they turn these markets into just a full rental market, like CJ was saying, you know, if they only start renting the paper, the ink, and the printer to you, who says, you know, because they own it, who says they can't censor what you're printing? Just like right now, they can totally censor movies or not allow you to even, you know, have access to certain movies when we're completely reliable on Jeff Bezos to offer the movie to buy on Amazon, for Bob Iger to offer the movie on Disney, or for what's the other big one? HBO. I don't know who HBO CEO is. But like when we're completely dependent on these companies, and the sad thing is like HBO is going through this right now. They made a Wile E. Coyote movie with Will Arnett. No, not Will Arnett. The other one that looks exactly like him. I forget his name. Uh, but they made this Wile E. Coyote Acme movie with the Looney Tunes, and HBO is just dumping it for tax reasons. They're just totally trashing it. It will never see the light of day. And I know that's a newer movie, but they can do that with old ones. They can do that with whatever is in their uh, arsenal or their vault of movies. If they just decide, hey, we'll never show this again, which I believe, like CJ was saying, I don't know if he believes this is censorship, but I believe that is a form of censorship as well. I mean, if they have these movies that they just refuse to allow you to purchase virtually or stream virtually just because they don't want to, they're censoring that. And that's what I miss about the brick and mortars. And like my daughter says, she loves saying Amazon and Walmart went after Toys R Us and they hung that giraffe. I go, you're right, they did. They did. They targeted them and then they strung them up on a tree. They absolutely did. You're right, honey. She really resents both those corporations for going after Toys R Us. Um, but essentially, you know, this is what everything's coming to. Those brick and mortars that got chased out of town by Amazon, by Walmart, by these companies, because the consumers, which our local economies are made up of 70%, is consumer purchasing power. When they pay us so little, when they're these job creators don't pay us enough to support the local community, we're forced to shop at Amazon and Walmart for the lowest price because we don't have money to spend. That drives out the brick and mortar, the mom and pop shops. Those mom and pop shops definitely had more freedom. They didn't have some big censorship, worries, or they weren't, global corporations where they needed to, opiate the masses up. These people would have the most obscure things. They would have the raddest movies. I'm telling you, look up the movie God Money. It's a weird one. It's an old one, and it's definitely an independent one. And I'll never forget, I own that on VHS. Used to watch it all the time. Uh, and that's the sad thing about America right now. You know, these huge corporations are trying to own everything while they rent it to us, just like the housing market, right? I think corporations have purchased more single family homes in the past couple of years than anything else. They've spent so much money investing in homes to turn our communities into rental markets. There's a huge story that you can look up on YouTube about Airbnb and how that's Airbnb because all these investments wanted to turn homes into Airbnbs in different neighborhoods, it shot the rents up and it chased out people who had lived there their whole life. Just like, the place I live in. It's owned by a corporation that's in Texas. And that breaks up communities. Instead of being able to raise your kids, instead of houses being affordable so families can buy them and raise their kids for their life, and you establish roots, and you know your neighbors, and you develop these community ties, they turn these places into rental markets. And if you own a small business, that's going to be destroyed. If you want to have some kind of community solidarity, that's destroyed. And I mean, the larger plot of this, I know I'm starting to sound like a tinfoil hat dude, but all in all, it's to break up our solidarity. It's just like the union busters. I just read Starbucks spent over $240 million on union busting. I think Starbucks organizing only started in 2020. So that's $240 million over 4 years. That's what, $60 million a year? That's way more than I think anything us partners, employees were asking for. And they wouldn't invest that into us, but they would invest it into trying to break us up. Why? Why would they spend that much money to break up the organizing? Because they understand there's power when the people come together, especially the working class. And that's the same with the rental markets. Why these corporations want to break up our communities? They don't want us getting together. They don't want us to unite. They don't want us to organize together. They don't want us to be able to have solidarity with each other. If we have to move around a lot, we're not going to have tighter ties than we would if we live in a community our whole life. And when we do that, we can organize to combat whatever's happening. Like CJ said with Kurt Tanner, how does Kurt Tanner walk back those statements of price gouging with the new Wendy's menus? How does he do that? Well, or how does he start to walk that back? Well, as a community, whether it's nationally, at the local level, internationally, as a community, when we start to call it what it is, price gouging, and say, we ain't going to have that, and their stock starts to dip because people are like, fuck you, Wendy's, and fuck you, Kurt Tanner, go back to Full House. All of a sudden, they're like, ooh, we can't exploit people that aren't going to listen, so we got to tiptoe around this. Boston Rob fan, what's up? Oh, I didn't know how long you've been in here, but I got to watch my mouth. Again, apologies for swearing. I just get fired up. I apologize to my daughter earlier because she's been sick. She got up at 3 a.m, crying, in bad pain. And as a dad, oh man, if you're a dad out there, you know that drive. Looking in the rear view, hoping your kid's just gonna do okay, wishing you could remove the pain from them. You got to go to the doctors, and then we get medicines. The doctor's like, oh, insurance should cover this. And I go to pick up the medicine. It's $42. I make $100 a week because they take out so much for my health care. And I was almost losing it in the CVS line. I'm like, I can't even afford medicine. I go, what am I paying for my health care for? Why do I pay so much? $600 a week in my health care costs. I take home $100, and I can't even buy food and medicine for my kids. So what is going on in this country? I had to apologize to my daughter and say, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm going to use language, and my wife, had some words respectfully. She was just like, yo, calm down, calm down. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather have my kids hear the things that I'm saying, hear my language, than act the wrong way. Or what did I say? I said it much cooler. But essentially, I was like, I'd rather them be able to hear cursing than ever condone what this society is doing and be complicit or say like, oh, it is what it is. All right, so that's why I was saying that, because Boston Rob fan, I do not want to be cursing around you. CJ, live in the rural. Person owned what basically was a dollar store in Dollar General, rolled into town, opened up on the same block by my personally owned dollar store. Yep. And if you know anything about dollar store, I banned my wife and kids from going there. Again, why do we have to shop at dollar stores? Well, they don't pay us enough. They don't pay us enough, so we're forced to purchase things on the cheapest we can. This is how our system is set up right now. This is why I organize. I organize at Starbucks. This is why I testify at the State House. I fight for a bunch of different causes. But it's all to try to wake people up. And these people who say, take an economy 101 class, I say, you morons. The simplest way to explain this is our economies are made up of people having purchasing power. Consumers, purchasing power makes up 70% of the economy. Guess what? If the jobs aren't paying enough, we don't have that purchasing power. What are we going to do? We're going to, like the irony of, if you work at Walmart, you're not paid enough to support local communities, small businesses in your local community. You're forced to shop at Walmart, which gives not money back to you. It goes to the top fucking people, top effing people that don't need it, while you're paying for them to exploit you. It's just a horrific system, and the only way out is there was a car crash near Monterey Park Middle School and Academy. Ooh, I don't know. That sounds awful. Always wear your seatbelt. Kid I work with just finally got a car, and I said, you got to promise me to all you wear your seatbelt. Then someone older was like, really? And I was like, where's everybody been living? You got to wear your seatbelt. I'll never forget. I thought like that too until, what was I, 15? And I went through an airbag through the windshield. And I realized how important that seatbelt was. As soon as the doctor told me, your face might not ever look the same again, I went, oh, damn, everybody's right about that seatbelt thing. Turns out that science was right. And then from then on, in Massachusetts, I don't know if they had this campaign anywhere else, but it was called Click It or Ticket. So if you didn't click it, you got a ticket. My dad used to always say that in his thick masshole accent. So yeah, back to the dollar store. If you don't know about the dollar store, they are disgusting in the way they treat their workers. And even when you would go into my dollar store, it was just horrendous. And I'm imagining that the local dollar store near you, CJ, was probably like, genuinely run. Like it had good intentions to save people money while also integrating into the community. The biggest problem with like the Walmart, Amazon, Target, Kohl's is we spend money there, and it's not, they're paying their workers minimum wage, which you can't afford anything. So the minimum wage workers can't support the local communities they live in. But the profits at Target, Kohl, Walmart, Amazon are going to the people who don't need it. The mid-level, higher level, no, let's be honest, the highest level managers. That's where really the profits go. And do you think the Jeff Bezos, the Waltons, the higher managers are reinvesting in our communities? No, they're siphoning that money right out of our communities, and that's what pisses me off. Boston Rob fan, are you playing Fortnite today? I will. And I don't know if you found me on Fortnite through my Twitch. I think I forgot to link it. So I will link it if I remember when I get off. What are they going to do when the peasants are dead? Yeah, right, CJ? I mean, that's really why I'm like so shocked that Kellogg's CEO said, just eat cornflakes for dinner. Just eat cereal for dinner. Like, do these people not hear themselves? And the worst part is if you just go back through history of organized labor or the working class plight, you'll see that like when Henry Ford stopped making people work 7 days a week and gave them weekends off and paid them better while made them work less, he clearly understood. Where's the book? I have a book, Rutger Bregman's Utopia for Realists. He outlines all this. Henry Ford realized that accidents on the job went down, productivity went up, and people started buying his cars because they had money to spend, they had weekends off, and it made him more wealthy. And he was like, it was the best investment I ever made, giving people weekends off, paying them more, and cutting their hours back during the week. And if you think about it, it just makes sense, right? If people are working 7 days a week for little pay and long hours, what would you do with a car? Car makes no sense. They don't have the money for it. They don't have the time to drive it. And they're exhausted from working all the time. And as soon as they got that free time and they had that little extra money where they weren't pinched so tight and they weren't getting killed on the job, they all of a sudden said, hey, why don't we buy one of those automobile things and drive it somewhere on the weekends? It's like common sense. So CJ, to speak to that, it's like, these people are not only like seriously effed in the head, but they just lack that common sense of like I always tell people when I have to unfortunately debate people on a living wage. I hate that term, but I'll always ask people, so you believe, because they'll say like, oh, you shouldn't make any more money at Starbucks. People at Target shouldn't make any more money. And I say, so you believe that people that work 40 hours a week should not be able to afford to survive, right? So that's your mindset. That is like what you're okay with. And it's just amazing because it's just basic knowledge, you know? And I think it's a lot of it's selfishness. A lot of it's like, the greed. And that's why I do this class war live stream, The Struggle, 5 days a week. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you have hit the subscribe, I love the community here. I love the community we're building. I'm very grateful for you. Let me just say that. If you've already hit subscribe and the notification bell, I am so, so thankful for you because it really can feel alone when you have this point of view. And I'm open to discussing whatever. You seen when that MAGA kid came in here. I'll be very clear, like I'm going to discuss it, but I have no leeway for suckers or people who are con artists or exploit the vulnerable. My take is like, if I'm quiet while people are being exploited, I might as well just help them exploit it, but I get none of the benefit. I don't get the money from it. So I am absolutely anti that, but I will hear people out. I will listen. I can have a discussion, but I ain't bending my will. I know exactly where I stand. I've seen too many people. My buddy would say gradual change means death. And I've seen too many good people lose their lives and not be on this earth anymore for situations that could have been avoided. I love when they say, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. And I said, you know what it does do? It pays the bills. And if you don't know about the stress of unpaid bills, then if you're saying that, like, it's nonsense. You can walk away with that stupid saying money doesn't buy happiness. Right now, money solved most of my problems. Okay? Money can put some food on the table. I wouldn't be having this for dinner. Piss off. Rich people say that money don't buy happiness because they've tried to do it. They've tried to buy their happiness and they realize, oh, I can't buy my happiness. That pit in my my heart, that hole in my soul can't be filled with this money. What should I do? Well, I'll just feel better about myself by exploiting poor people. So again, I get so far off track. What I was trying to say is thank you. Thank you for joining me on this live stream. Thank you for being here. I'm here 5 days a week. That's why I say hit the notification bell because Boston Rob fan, I'll address you in 1 second. Because I can't promise you a time. Like yesterday, I had jury duty, so I think I went live from Lawrence like at 1 in the afternoon. Tonight, obviously, it's like supper time. But I can give you my word. Like I say, I don't have money, so, that don't mean much to me. But my word means a lot. And pending any kind of insanity happening, and I think this is 3 or 4 weeks that I've been going live every weekday. I will be live weekdays, 5 days a week, bringing you some kind of information. Today was a weird one. Trump's book is going to be used against him in a court of law. His own words that he, of course, didn't write. A ghostwriter did, but Boston Rob Van. So you don't have Twitch. Oh, man. I don't know how else we'll connect. We got to figure something out. Or leave in the comments like your handle so I could go search you out or whatever. Like, again, usually it's like the younger folks that I play Fortnite with explain to me how to do stuff. Because they'll be like, I sent you a request. I'll be like, what does that mean? How do I do that? I just started Twitch too, but that's one thing I'm starting to learn how to do. So, and I want to compete. Oh, is today the 1st? There's a Fortnite Championship Series. I want to compete in Fortnite because you can win money. That's why I've been playing a lot more Fortnite. As sad as that is, I could win one series in Fortnite and make what I do in a week at Starbucks. That is horrific. Now I respect the kids that game and try to make money gaming. But I think for every like tournament win, you get $100. So if I won a couple tournaments in Fortnite, I would double my earnings at Starbucks in just an hour, 3 hours, I think it is, compared to what I make a week at Starbucks. A week. That's nuts. 3 hours on Fortnite, if I get good enough, will earn me more than I make in a week at Starbucks. And Starbucks is the largest, most profitable, biggest, richest coffee corporation in the history of the world. Like the people that company made wealthy, Well, their great great grandkids will have money. That's what kind of stupid wealth we're talking about. When Howard Schultz got pulled in front of Congress to testify about his union busting, he complained about the moniker of billionaire. Like that's not a complaint, bro. If you're, that's just a type. That's just like the facts of you. I almost called it science. You would be a Fortnite streamer. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So if you do get on Twitch, it's Comrade, Comrad. I couldn't put the E on it. Somebody had Comrade with the E. So it's just Comrade Crow, Crow. I love crows. And we're all comrades here. So I think that's it. Keep an eye out for Trump, his book. Remember, folks, if you take anything from today's live stream, whatever you say or write can and will be used against you in a court of law. And who knows, CJ, now maybe if you're still here, now we got to be careful because if HP is only going to rent people printers and be able to control how much paper you get to print per month, like it's 20 sheets, and then if you go over and don't have rollover pages, they're going to charge you $1 for 10 to 15 more pages to print. Who freaking knows that now maybe these printer companies will be like, oh, you know how the cops will look up on their phone and be like, oh, he Googled this before the crime happened. Now the cops will go to the printer companies and go, show us all the things he printed over the past month. We want to know if he printed any, stuff that could conspire against him. I know everybody likes to say, I told my daughter today. So remember, if somebody tells you at least America is the land of the free, ask them, what's free? I just had to have this debate with a cop that comes into my work because he was complaining about his insurance not being able to help him with his back. I said, yeah, I get it. I pay so much for my insurance, I had to stop seeing my doctor. I said, that's why this country sucks. And he said, I love this country, greatest country in the world. And I asked the cop if he knew about any of the European Union countries. And he said, oh, greatest country in the world. And some people are just blind to it. Some people that are white, wealthy, older men that are cops probably, think it's the greatest country in the world. When you have the power and the money, yeah, I'm sure it was working out for you. But let's see what that mindset is if one emergency sets you back and you lose your home, your job, or whatever. Let's see, once you have to face the harsh reality that there are no social safety nets, there's nothing to help you in this country if you don't have the money to get you out of the jam. Let's see what your mindset is then. That's really, like, isn't that the test of character? A test of character isn't what you do in front of people, but it's what you do when those people aren't around. Same thing with how you feel about America. Let's see when you're down and out, and how you feel if you got to work a minimum wage job where they take so much of your health care out that you can't afford to see a doctor, which is my situation. Today I couldn't afford my daughter's medicine. I had to pick one of the two. That's nuts. We're in America, land of the free, folks. All right. I didn't realize what time it was. Thank you guys so much for hanging out on the stream. For real, I am so humbled and grateful to each and every one of you for subscribing, for being part of this community. I'm really just so grateful, for real. Like, this is awesome. I almost swore. I caught myself, Boston Rob fan. I caught myself. Because working at my job sucks. I make $5 an hour because they take out taxes and healthcare. And they union bust. So they always are just jerks. I can't just act freely and talk about unions. They're suspect. So a little while ago, or no, a year ago, I was like, I'm gonna try this YouTube thing, or 2 years ago, 2 years. And I really couldn't find my niche. And then I forget what happened the other day. But about a month ago, I said, that's it. I'm going live 5 days a week. I'm gonna give this my all. I'm gonna just try to hopefully sometimes be funny, maybe bring on some guests, but I'm always going to speak up and speak out. I got to do it for my kids. I got to do it for, if you have kids, I got to do it for the youth. I got to do it because I can't be quiet, man. I cannot stay silent to the injustices that are happening all around us, and especially when there's so many propaganda outlets that are tricking people into being alternative news, like Russell Brand's or Joe Rogan's, or all these wealthy people that are just trying to protect their own interests, and they're trying to convince the masses of the same. That at least Dave Chappelle's honest with it when he says, you know, like these people that voted for Trump or think Trump's going to help the working class. He says, "Nah, man. He's going to protect me. He's going to protect us rich folks." Dave Chappelle made that a joke. It was hysterically funny, but it was also rooted in the truth. And what did Trump do? He gave Dave Chappelle and all the wealthy people tax cuts, while us making under 75 grand a year got our taxes raised. So, so it's amazing to just have a small community like this. I'm very humbled. I'm very thankful. And I'm open to hearing what you guys would talk about. So I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully you guys could hear me. Again, big shout out to my little bro. He got me this wireless, I don't think it's a lavalier mic. It's just a wireless mic. This thing is unreal. I am so stoked. I just want to use it all the time, but I still got to figure out a little more about using it. So hopefully you got to hear me. Hopefully the audio is good. I get to even watch the levels. I feel like a professional right now. So I'm really trying to give this YouTube thing my all. And as you can see, I'm starting to get the sick equipment. Can you hear the mic, Boston Rob fan? The wireless mic. Yeah, that's what it would be called. It even came with a magnet. I've never had one. I just clipped it on, but it's like got a magnet so you could move. I'm just so stoked on this. Big shout out to my brother. Go check him out. Aerial Vectors, at Aerial Vectors, or at Florida Skylines on YouTube. He does amazing drone work. You can't hear me. All right. I'm so excited to like record videos with this. I really, now that the weather changes, I want to, or now it's starting to get warmer, this mic is going to be, believe in yourself. Oh, you are the best. It's hard when you're majorly depressed. It is hard to believe in yourself, but I thank you. And you know what? This is the kind of stuff that it keeps me fired up and keeps me so grateful to be able to do this, because of the community we got here. So I truly believe that, man. Power in the people, and I believe community is so important. So when wealthy people tell you like they pulled themselves up from their bootstraps, ask them if they paved the roads they drive to their businesses on, because they didn't. Okay? Because I got friends that paved the roads, and trust me, they ain't doing it. All right, I got to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. Boston Rob fan, leave me a comment, or somehow we got to connect so I can find out your Fortnite thing so we can connect on Fortnite. Again, if you get to go on Twitch, even if you just check out the website, again, if you can, Comrade Crow, you and I got to connect on Fortnite so we can do some gaming. I'll live stream a little bit later on Twitch. So if you're on there or you like watching Fortnite, it's fun. And there's a cool group of kids, like my kids and their friends, that we all game. And you can watch me be horrible. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I promise. I'm trying to make money Fortnite and live streaming. One sec. Oh yeah, my kids are coming. All right. Peace. Thank you guys so much. And if you're just tuning in or you haven't hit subscribe and the notification bell, please do that. I go live every weekday, 5 days a week. I can't promise a time. I can just give you my word on doing 5 days. So if you hit the notification bell, you'll be alerted when I go live. Thank you guys so much. Leave something in the comments about some of the stuff we talked about. Great comment, CJ. Good to see you, Boston Rob fan. CJ, calling out that censorship. I got to look into that, and we'll follow up on that. And hit that like button so we can get this to hit the algorithm. I don't know how that works. Anyways, peace.